Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, lived a beautiful princess named Ella. She was known throughout the land for her kindness, grace, and most of all, her enchanting songs. But Ella had a wicked stepmother and two stepsisters who were jealous of her beauty and popularity. They treated her like a servant, forcing her to do all the housework and forbidding her from attending the royal events. One day, the king announced a grand ball at the palace in honor of a visiting prince from a neighboring kingdom. The prince was said to be handsome and kind, and all the young ladies in the kingdom were invited to attend the ball in hopes of capturing his heart. Ella longed to go, but her stepmother said, "You'll be staying home to clean the house while we attend the ball." Heartbroken, Ella ran to her room and cried herself to sleep. As she dreamed of dancing at the ball with the prince, suddenly her dreams took a magical turn. In front of her, an old woman appeared with a wave of her magic wand. The old woman transformed into a beautiful fairy godmother. "Don't cry, my child," she said. "I'm your fairy godmother, and I have heard your wish to attend the ball. I will make it come true." With a wave of her magic wand, the fairy godmother transformed Ella's rags into a beautiful flowing gown. The gown shimmered with thousands of stars, and it was the most beautiful dress Ella had ever seen. But Ella's joy was short-lived. The fairy godmother said, "You may wear this dress, but it will turn back into rags before the stroke of midnight. And these slippers?" She waved her magic wand, transforming pumpkins into a pair of golden shoes. "They will also turn into pumpkins if you do, and return home before the clock strikes 12. Ella thanked her fairy godmother and rushed to the bathroom to admire her reflection. In the mirror, she saw not only a beautiful dress, but also a stunning pair of golden slippers that sparkled like stars in the night sky. As Ella put on the slippers, the fairy godmother reminded her once again about the spell. "Before the clock strikes midnight, you must be home, or the spell will break," Ella promised. She would be careful, and soon left the house to attend the ball. The moment she stepped into the palace ballroom, all eyes turned to her. She was the most beautiful girl there, and even the prince stopped dancing to gaze at her. Ella felt like a real princess as she danced with the prince and other nobles until the clock began to strike midnight. "Oh no," she cried, realizing she had stayed too long. She ran out of the ballroom, down the palace stairs, and through the gardens without looking back. As she ran, her golden slippers fell off. One shoe landed in a rose bush, and the other shoe, much to the delight of a young mouse, ended up inside his hole. Ella continued running until she reached a nearby stream. She took off her beautiful gown and laid it on some nearby rocks. Then she walked barefoot all the way home, arriving just as the first rays of sunlight peeked over the horizon. When her stepsisters and stepmother awoke and saw the beautiful dress and shoes, they knew they belonged to the mysterious girl from the ball. "These must be Cinderella's," her stepsisters exclaimed, trying to stuff their feet into the tiny shoes. They pulled and tugged. The shoes were a perfect fit for no one but Ella. Her stepmother grew furious. But even her anger could not change the fact that the shoes did not fit. Meanwhile, the prince had woken up early that morning, and he couldn't stop thinking about the beautiful girl he had met at the ball. He remembered how graceful she had been as she danced, how sweet she had been as they talked, and how mysterious she had been when she suddenly left the ballroom. Determined to find her, he put on his finest clothes, grabbed his horse, and headed toward the palace gardens, where he had last seen her. There he found one of her golden slippers lying in a rose bush. He picked it up and held it close, hoping its magic would lead him to its owner. When the prince arrived at Ella's house, her stepsisters came running, each holding one of the golden shoes. "Oh, yes, these are Cinderella's shoes," they cried. "And since they fit me perfectly, I'm sure I must be the girl you're looking for." Each sister tried to put on the shoe, but it simply wouldn't fit. Just then, Ella came downstairs. When she heard the commotion, her stepsisters shoved her toward the prince and said, "Here she is. This must be Cinderella." Ella was confused, but when the prince held up the shoe, she realized what was going on. She wanted to explain that the shoe belonged to her, but her stepsisters cut her off. "Since it fits me so well, I must be the girl you're looking for," they insisted. Again, they tried to force the shoe onto their feet, but it simply wouldn't budge. Frustrated, the stepsisters stamped their feet and crossed their arms. "It doesn't fit either of us," they said in unison. The prince looked at Ella, who was still wearing her old rags, and asked her to try on the shoe. When Ella slipped it on, It fit perfectly. The prince and Ella were overjoyed, and he led her out of the house to his waiting carriage. As they rode away, Ella's stepsisters and stepmother watched in envy. At the palace, the prince and Ella were married in a beautiful ceremony attended by all the nobles in the kingdom. Ella became known as the kind and graceful queen. And as for her stepsisters, well, they never quite got over their jealousy and always remained envious of their stepsister's good fortune. And now, little ones, it's time for bed. So brush your teeth, wash your face, and get into bed. It's time to close your eyes and dream sweet dreams of happy endings and magical adventures. Just like Cinderella, you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. Be kind to others, believe in yourself, and never give up hope. And remember, no matter how dark things may seem, the sun will always rise again. Sweet dreams, my loves. May your dreams be filled with magic and wonder.